Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I say this to cover my behind.
She's imagining, by the way, because when she thinks, her eyes go up and to the right.
Missed surgery, you see.
Make this pencil disappear.
Now, because I am not nearly as cruel as my fellow colleagues on the day shift, your blankets will be returned to y'all, and your dresses will be repaired. However, should you feel the need to defecate or urinate, please feel free to do so in the fine buckets provided by your correctional staff. That'd be us. Thank you.
Stanford prison experiment. This was conducted by Professor Philip Zimbardo, a social psychology experiment from August 14th, 1971 through August 20th, 1971. It only lasted 6 days, y'all, because of how unstable the college students became. Now, let me go ahead and go back for y'all real quick. Professor Philip Zimbardo had finessed the out of these kids. This dude had went in the ad of a newspaper and said male college students needed for psychological study of prison life, $15 per day for 1 to 2 weeks beginning on August 14th. For further information and applications, come to room 248. That's all. Like the way, like, come on, these young adults gonna be like, oh, you know, prison life, $15 a day. This dude is just finesse. Now, many young adults applied for that position right there, and a dozen had got picked. This dude had even got the police to fake arrest these individuals to bring them into the jail. His whole reason behind this experiment was to see, do individuals do horrific acts to one another from within or from within their environment that they're in. For example, like during the Hitler era, were the Nazi generals doing evil because they wanted to, or were they just following orders? This actually makes you wonder, because many of those college kids weren't just out the wound evil. They were just like normal, and they just have flipped a coin to who's gonna play the prisoner and who's gonna play the damn CO.
There were several counts every day and night. As you can see in this first count, the prisoners were not yet into their roles. They weren't taking it too seriously. They were still trying to assert their independence. The guards were also having some trouble with feeling out their new roles, trying to assert some authority over their prisoners.
Now, as you see, from day 0 to day 1-ish, they weren't taking their roles serious because they knew it was an experiment. But something had turned when a specific individual guard had took matter in his own hands to try to imitate what an evil guard would be.
They want to show that prison is a bad experience. I'm going to make it bad.
But how did you feel doing stuff like that? Didn't you feel bad?
I don't know if this is a revelation to you, but 18-year-old boys are not the most sensitive creatures.
Sure.
My agenda was to be the worst guard I could possibly be.
And he sure as well did. This guy right here had took it to the extreme. They had considered him the extremist by, you know, humiliating the individuals, hitting them, the whole 9 yards.
I didn't see where it was really harmful. It was degrading, and that was part of my particular little experiment to see how I could.
Your particular little experiment.
Yes,
Why don't you tell me about that?
I was running little experiments of my own.
I made the decision that I would be as intimidating, as cold, as cruel as possible.
I love you, children.
Get up close. Get up close.
I love you, children.
I know this content is kind of blurred, but this guard right here was the one who had did a kickoff on the evil that's being conducted in this experiment right here. Same thing like with Hitler during the Nazi era and everything. It takes that one individual and the situation, and all others will follow, or some will try to disagree. We'll see.
I love you, children.
You smile to an athlete. You get down here and do 10 push-ups.
2, 3. I just watched a movie called Cool Hand Luke, and the mean, intimidating, Southern prison warden character in that film really was my inspiration for the role that I created for myself.
I'm glad he said this part right here. This is a psychological term that I had said before. It's called modeling behavior. Many people think that children do this, but adults could do this also. You see modeling behavior from him with the influence of the movie that he had watched, modeling behavior from these rappers on these young adults that's listening to them, modeling behavior for exotic dancers or adult actresses, and they have these same people doing the same thing. Modeling behavior is just copy and paste. Now I'm going to read this term right here for you on it. When a person observes the behavior of another and then imitates that behavior, he or she is modeling the behavior. This is sometimes known as observational learning or social learning. Modeling is a kind of, I know I'm kind of illiterate, learning in which direct instructions need not occur, which means a child or even an adult don't be like, hey, I need instructions on how to be a menace to society. I need instructions on how to imitate this. No, they just do it. It's called modeling behavior.
Why did you try to be obedient so much?
It's my nature to be obedient, Mr. Reginald.
You were lying. You were stinking lying.
He was creative in his evil. He would think up very ingenious ways to degrade, to demean the prisoners. One of the best guards was also on that shift, and instead of confronting this bad guard, the sadistic guard, essentially because he didn't want to see what was happening, he became the gopher. He would go out to get the food and things of this kind. And that left the John Wayne guard and another guard on that shift to be dominant.
So that says it. Some people would try to avoid it, or some people would not stand for it. This individual just tried to avoid that situation by not being around those guards.
We were continually called upon to act in a way that just is contrary to what I really feel inside. Just continually giving out shit. It's just really one of the most oppressive things you can do.
416, while they do push-ups, you sing Amazing Grace. Ready?
This right here was a tactic to break down somebody mentally. This is a psychological tactic that's still being used in the military. Some people gonna be hip to it and they're gonna be like, oh, I ain't going for it, like many others. But there's some individuals who break down mentally off of this tactic. The tactic that I'm talking about is when they force the whole group to shun or shame the individual, and to the point where they mentally break down.
Down. Keep going. Grace. Push-ups on your own.
The madness of the experiment started to affect prisoner 416.
This is nothing new under the sun. Do you see that prisoner that's still standing up? They're forcing him to sing while the other prisoners are being punished off his actions. Again, this is a psychological trick and tactic that they still use in the military to make you have an ego depletion, to destroy yourself, to make you be considered as a whole. Now, many of y'all may have y'all opinions on this situation, but still, that's just, it is what it is.
Like me.
Keep going.
I began to feel that I was losing my identity until finally I wasn't Clay. I was 416. I was really my number. And 416 was going to have to decide what to do.
Prisoner 416 decided to go on a hunger strike.
They were pushing my limits, but here was a thing that I could do that could push their limits. After I had missed a couple of meals, I saw that this was not a matter of indifference to the guards. I was making headway.
Now, what he is doing is historical. I believe the saying was Attica, where these prisoners had started a rebellion against the mistreatment. But let me be clear right here. For it depends on the circumstances and the situations where, as you being an individual, where you want to stand up for something and you don't have the power on your side. What I'm trying to say is that during, let's say during the Holocaust or during many other historical events, even with certain slavery, the people who are in power will kill you for doing this type of stuff. Now, I'm not saying this to like discourage you or make you scared or lose bravery. Nah. It is what it is. They will kill you as an individual for doing this because you will give hope and you will give empowerment to others who are seeing you withstand these harsh conditions, and you're going to cause a revolution. You get what I'm saying? So this is not for no, oh, you trying to be different, I'm going to shun you. You making a job difficult for the people who are in power.
The study showed that power corrupts, and how difficult it is for people who are the victims of abuse to stand up and defend themselves. Why doesn't anybody who is being abused by a spouse or something like that just say stop it? And we realize now that that's not as easy as it sounds.
And he is right about that situation right there, because it's easier to tell somebody to stop from the outside in than you being that person. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very difficult. Somebody who's going through that firsthand, it's going to be difficult for them to stand up for themselves. But I'm not saying that it never happens. You got some people who are not going for this shit at all. Some people will straight lay it down as soon as they feel as though they're getting violated. And you got some people who just don't know what to do. Well, it's been real, guys. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me to the very end. Again, this is the Stanford prison experiment right here. Y'all could take a chance to look it up on your own. But the overall message right here is that power corrupts. I appreciate y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe. If y'all haven't, check out the Patreon. I'm going to definitely put the quality over the quantity from now on. So I'm about to go ahead and start going more extra harder on bringing some good quality content. Till next time, y'all. Peace.